Okay, wait. Before we get into anything else, I need you to sit with this one detail first because it's the spiciest part of this entire story, and it might be the most petty, most transparent thing I've seen all month. Clarissa allegedly posted "Be quiet sometimes" about people oversharing online right before Remy Ma reportedly booked a sit down with the one panel that's been Team Clarissa this whole time. Girl, the timing on that post? That's not generational commentary. That's reportedly a guilty conscience typing in real time, and everybody saw it. Hey, babe, welcome back to Shella Elite. And I need you to buckle up for this one because there is so much layered into this story. Grab your tea, get comfortable, because by the time we're done today, you're going to understand exactly why this Breakfast Club interview might be the messiest, most necessary conversation of the entire year. Let's get into it. So here's what you need to understand before anything else. The Breakfast Club has reportedly not been subtle about this whole situation they've leaned toward. Every time Clarissa comes up, it's giggles, it's soft defending, it's acting like she can do no wrong. So when word got out that Remy might actually sit down with them, my first thought was, is she really about to do this? Is she really about to walk into a room that spent this much energy allegedly being on Clarissa's side? But apparently, yes, she is. And honestly, that says something because her earlier interview with Angie Martinez was fine. Don't get me wrong, but it barely scratched the surface. She reportedly didn't touch Papoose. She reportedly didn't touch the other side of the story. Nothing. And that left a lot of us with questions we're still waiting on answers for. So when she allegedly gets into that Breakfast Club chair, this is not going to be a soft conversation. This is enemy territory, and I don't think she's walking in there by accident. Let's talk about why this interview reportedly matters so much. Remy hasn't sat down with the Breakfast Club in what feels like forever, and I genuinely can't remember the last time she was even in that building without Papoose sitting right next to her. Think about that for a second. Every appearance, every conversation, he's allegedly been right there. This time, she's reportedly walking in solo, and that alone tells you something shifted. She already got her soft landing with Angie Martinez, the polished version, the safe version, the one where she got to control the narrative on her own terms. This one's different. Lauren Lala is going to ask the messy questions. We all know that. That's her entire brand. And if Charlemagne is sitting there too, there is no version of this conversation where Papoose and Claressa don't come up. She allegedly dodged it once. She does not get to dodge it twice. Now, here's the part that's actually bugging me, and I need you to think about this with me. Why now? Why this exact week? The studio post reportedly went up almost a full day before most of us even saw it. And if you know how these things usually work, they film and then the interview typically drops the next day. So if that math is right, we might actually be looking at a Friday release. But here's my real question. Why did this interview reportedly get scheduled right in the middle of everything happening with Clarissa? That is not a coincidence to me. That feels like timing. That feels like a message. If Remy really is about to address all of this on a platform this big, right when the internet is already this messy, I don't think that's an accident at all. I think somebody wanted this timed exactly right. Okay, now let's talk about Clarissa because, girl, this next part had me sitting up straight. She allegedly posted this whole message about how this generation is too obsessed with the internet, how nobody can keep a relationship together because everybody runs to post about it or go live the second something happens. Be quiet sometimes, she reportedly said. Be quiet sometimes, ma'am. You allegedly posted that from the exact same phone that is practically glued to your hand 24/7. The comment section reportedly dragged her immediately, and rightfully so, because people were pointing out that she had just spoken publicly about her own relationship in full detail. The audacity of telling people to log off while allegedly being one of the most online people in this entire situation is honestly kind of impressive in the worst way possible. But wait, because I have a theory and I need you to hear me out. What if that post wasn't random at all? What if somewhere in her circle, word got back that Remy was about to sit down and actually talk? And this whole be quiet sometimes post was really just a preemptive strike, a little message dressed up as generational commentary, but reportedly aimed at one very specific person. Because think about the timing. Right before a major interview that could put her business back in the spotlight, she suddenly allegedly wants everyone to log off. That's not coincidence, babies. That's reportedly a guilty conscience talking. And if I'm right about this, it tells you everything about how nervous someone might actually be underneath all that confidence being performed online. Now, let's get into the money because this is where it gets even messier. There's reportedly this whole story floating around about Clarissa allegedly walking away with around $500,000 as her base payout from that fight. And instead of just letting that number sit there and fade into the background like normal people do, she reportedly jumped straight into a public comment section trying to explain why that number wasn't accurate. Babe, the more you explain money you supposedly have, the less I actually believe you have it. That's just how this works. Nobody who's truly sitting comfortable is out here in comment sections playing defense about their bank account. If the payday was real and it hit exactly the way people think it did, you'd reportedly be enjoying it in peace, not responding to every single post that mentions the number. And then she reportedly goes and says she's thinking about getting into streaming. I need you to sit with the irony of that for a second, because this is allegedly the same woman who just told an entire generation to log off and be quiet sometimes. Streaming is not exactly the move for someone who apparently wants people off their phones, because streaming means showing your entire life in real time with basically zero control over how any of it gets edited or presented. A reality show at least gives you an editing room, a buffer, some kind of filter before the world sees the final product. Streaming has none of that. It's raw, it's live, it's every reaction and every awkward silence happening in real time for everyone to analyze. So you want people to log off and then you want to go live? Pick a struggle, girl, because you cannot have both. There was even one comment underneath her post that made the whole thing so much worse. Somebody reportedly said streaming would drain her because she exposes too much already. And instead of ignoring it or laughing it off, she allegedly responded, "Expose what? Expose what?" That response alone tells you she might genuinely not be seeing the pattern everyone else online is seeing so clearly. And honestly, that question, expose what, makes this whole situation look even more suspicious, because at this point, it feels like she's looking for another way to bring in money, which makes you wonder whether that fight really paid out the way people were reportedly led to believe. Even if 500,000 was just a guaranteed base, there's ticket sales, merchandise, splits, and whoever else had a hand in that pot. Whatever the real number was, she's clearly not walking away with all of it herself. And here's the thing that really gets me. It has reportedly been almost a full week since that fight, and she is still out here talking about the money. If everything really happened the way she keeps insisting it did, why isn't she just quietly enjoying it? Why isn't she off somewhere living her best life instead of spending every single day trying to prove a number to strangers on the internet? Nobody who's actually secure financially spends this much energy defending a payout that's supposedly already sitting in their account. Maybe that financial advisor she reportedly mentioned wanting really is necessary at this point, because using Papoose as your unofficial money guy clearly isn't producing the results anyone expected. The fact that she's still explaining herself this many days later says a lot more than any actual number could. And honestly, it's starting to feel less like confidence and more like damage control that just won't stop. Now let's circle back to Remy, because I genuinely believe this Breakfast Club interview is going to be the real icing on the cake here. Her conversation with Angie Martinez reportedly felt intentional, like she was keeping things focused on her own career, her own music, keeping the Papoose situation at arm's length on purpose. That was probably the plan the whole time. Get the soft interview out first, control the narrative, save the real conversation for later when she's ready to actually say something. But the Breakfast Club is reportedly a completely different environment. They ask the messy questions. That's the entire format. And I genuinely don't see how Remy walks out of that building without addressing Papoose or Claressa directly. And honestly, I want her to. She has every right to say her piece. There are way too many unanswered questions floating around right now. And if she has receipts, people deserve to actually hear it instead of piecing together competing versions from random posts and secondhand screenshots. Now, watch what happens the second those interview clips start hitting the internet. Clarissa is going to reportedly be right there, tweeting, posting, responding, acting like somebody is trying to use her name for attention. And girl, the audacity of that reaction is honestly already writing itself in my head because after this many interviews, after this many posts talking about this exact situation herself, you don't get to suddenly play victim the moment somebody else gets to speak. That's not how any of this works. And everybody watching is going to see right through it. Remy is reportedly finally getting her moment, her platform, her chance to tell her own side in her own words. And if that allegedly makes Clarissa uncomfortable, that's honestly not Remy's problem to manage. And while we're on the topic of things people conveniently want to forget, can somebody please ask about that old comment from Papoose where he allegedly claimed he writes around 90% of Remy's rhymes? He reportedly said that loud and proud once upon a time, and now it's just silence, like he's hoping everybody forgot he ever said it out loud. Funny how that works, right? Loud when it's convenient, quiet when it's not. So Friday genuinely cannot come fast enough for me. I'm not going to lie. Who's actually here for the truth and who's just here for the chaos? Comment below and don't be shy about it. I read every single one. And make sure you're subscribed to Shella Lights because the second those clips drop, we are talking about it right here. So you don't want to miss it.